The Silurians, probably one of Doctor Who's most iconic villains. They are up there with the Sea Devils. First appearing during John Pertwee's time as the Doctor, the Silurians since appeared in another story, Warriors of the Deep, and he hasn't appeared for nearly 30 years until 2010 with The Hungry Earth and Cold Blood. I remember watching the first ever Matt Smith trailer on New Year's Day 2010, just after David Tennant left the role of the Doctor. And I remember seeing the trailer, I remember seeing these sort of reptilian creatures, and I thought they're either going to be Silurians or Sea Devils. And as it turned out, as we all know, it turned out to be Silurians, and they have their own two-part adventure, hence how we have The Hungry Earth and Cold Blood, written by Chris Chibnall. Now, Chris Chibnall has written some quite good stories, I would say. This one, I'd say the idea of it is a very good idea. It borrows some elements from when Malcolm Hulke, when he wrote Doctor Who and the Silurians back in 1970, just 40 years before the story was broadcast. Same goes with the Sea Devils. The whole idea is they come from Earth and they were before the humans, so it borrows that sort of idea. However, having said that, I've said that Chris Chibnall is a good writer. He's borrowed elements from the Malcolm Hulke stories from the 1970s. So what could possibly go wrong? Well, for starters, we have the redesign of the Silurians. Now, I'm just going to be straight with you here. I am definitely not a fan of these Silurians. By no means whatsoever. They just look like some sort of generic Star Trek villain, like from Star Trek. Not that I'm dissing Star Trek or anything, because I think that's a good show. Me being a fan of it, but it just seems like, oh, it's just another reptilian race. And the thing about the Silurians was they were very unique because they had a third eye. So the fact that they don't have one now in the modern series, starting with this story, it's a bit peculiar, to be fair with you. Not a fan of it at all. I think it took away a lot of good things about the Silurians. So I wasn't happy with that. Even though they do say in the story, oh, this is a different tribe, meaning there's more than one sort of species of Silurians. Sort of makes sense, seeing as you have the Sea Devils. But it's just the third eye. It kills people in the classic series. You look at Doctor Who and the Silurians, and they just use a third eye and they just kill people with it. And with this, they have the tongue thing. It's obviously a CGI tongue, so that's pretty crap. So yeah, not really a fan of the tongue, not really a fan of the lack of the third eye. I just think it looks crap. But I think the makeup is alright, I'm not dissing it, but personally, I feel those Silurians are an abomination. Now, these are Silurians. These right here. These are what I'm talking about. You just look at these Silurians. They are the real deal. compare them to like these lot, like wearing masks. I mean, what's all that about? Yeah, one thing I thought when I saw the trailer, I thought that with and without the mask, I thought they were like different creatures. I thought like that they were like sea devils because they have big eyes, but it's just a mask for the Silurians, which doesn't make any sense. And underneath, it's just like a reptile, like you can just see there. So, yeah, not really a fan of the redesign of Silurians. But enough about what I think about the Silurians themselves. Let's go on to the actual plot of this second two-part adventure for Matt Smith. It's set in 2020. There's this drilling project. A lot of things go bugger up, and it's just the usual cliche. Human gets taken into the ground. Credits roll. Well, the title sequence rolls rather, and then our heroes, Dr. Amy and Rory, arrive. And yeah, it's just right, okay. So not much has happened so far. And then the Doctor discovers something weird about the grounds. He knows that there's some drilling going on. He sees that there's a drilling project nearby. Goes down to see what's going on with Amy. Amy goes into ground, blah, 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 blah. Rory's doing stuff. He finds some stuff out. Kids being taken by Silurians. You see Silurians, like I said, don't like the redesign. Matt Smith with the catapults. I don't know what that's all about. And yeah, it's just a lot of talking again, really. There's quite a few supporting characters in this story. You have this family. You have a father, a mother, and a grandfather, and the kids. The kids being taken by the Silurians. And I really, 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 really hate the mother in this story. I think the mother is an absolute cow, especially after what she does in the second episode of the story. Again, like The Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone, the second episodes of this story, probably the better part of the story. But it's one of those stories not much. Well, I say not much. I'm not a fan of the story, okay? And by now it seems like I'm anti-Series 5, but I don't know what it is about the series. I really, really, really wanted to like the series, but even just rewatching it, I find it really difficult, and I just don't see the appeal of these Silurians or like just the story as a whole. My girlfriend, the determined artist, she doesn't like this story either, so at least I'm not the only one who thinks that. She just thinks it's boring. I think it's boring, and it's really, I feel really, really sad saying that, me being a huge Doctor Who fan, but I just really get bored with the story every time I watch it. And yeah, it's just boredom all the way through it. All the way through the two parts. It's just boredom. I think the only good parts are like when you see the underground area where all the Silurians live underground. I think all the sets and all that, I think that's pretty good. Looks pretty well designed. But there's another thing. Why do like nearly all the Silurians have to be female? Not that I'm sexist or anything, but it's just really interesting to see like there's lots of female Silurian villains. It's just bizarre, because if you look back at the classic series, I don't think there was any female Silurians, so maybe it's because of that factor. Plus you have all the other villains like Daleks and Cybermen, and let's face it, they're really considered as male. You have Sontarans and all that type of thing, and so they probably thought, oh, let's bring the Silurians back, but this time make them female. Quite bizarre, but there are quite a few males as well. There's about, I think there's 2 or 3 of them in this story. I think it's 2. One of them being like the sort of ambassador, and the other being like the medic, who's a bit of a dick in the first episode of the story. But in the second episode, like when the Doctor is like trying to make peace with the humans and the Silurians, yeah, you're starting to like this character. But then he gets killed off by Restak, who is the main villain of the story. She's played by Nev McIntosh. We also have Alea, who is the first proper Silurian, what we see in this episode. She's played by Nev McIntosh. Kind of reminds me of what's her face comes in at series 6 and series 7. Her name's at the tip of my tongue. Can't even think of it right now. It'll come to me. Vastra, that's it. She's also played by Nev McIntosh. So it's kind of like the Sontara thing. They keep bringing back actors like Christopher Ryan and Dan Starkey to play Sontarans, and with the Silurians to keep bringing back Nev McIntosh. But the idea with Nev McIntosh works with the story because it's alluded in the story that Alea and Restak are Silurian twins, and Nev McIntosh actually said in an interview before the story was broadcast that she was playing Silurian twins, so there we go. But it just baffles me how she plays another one who's good in A Good Man Goes to War and all the other episodes she appears in afterwards. She's appearing in Series 8 as well, if you didn't know already. So yeah, there's that. Restak, pretty annoying villain to be honest. Don't really like Restak as a character. Alea, again, a bit annoying as well. It's just like she was about to die. She didn't really give a shit. But I think she wanted to die to provoke a sort of conflict between the humans, because the mother of the kid, she's really angry with like, oh, her son's been kidnapped and all that type of thing, and her dad's, the granddad, has been like infected by this sort of fungus thing. So she shoots the Silurian Alea, and kills her really. Pretty stupid woman really. She shouldn't have really killed her, because all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose after that. The cliffhanger at the end of episode 1, so an alright cliffhanger, not really that good compared to the cliffhanger at the end of The Time of Angels with the epic Matt Smith speech. It's just the Doctor and one of the scientists who's sort of like one-off companion type of thing, and really what happens is they just go underground and they go through and like you see all this lava and type of stuff, and it just ends there. It's just like an entire civilization's down here. But to be honest, when I saw this I thought, well yeah, isn't that what the Silurians are all about? We already knew that. I was just like, when I was watching it, I was just like, and here's an entire new civilization. I just thought, no shit. And yeah. But that was the first episode. The second is by a margin better. Only by a little bit though, like a small margin. And the kid gets rescued. The father's like trapped as well. Forgot to mention that, but oh well. I forgot about the story. Again, another one of those forgetful stories, just like The Beast Below and The Vampires of Venice. They get rescued. Amy's like set free and all that type of stuff, and then they all meet up in this sort of conference room, and they're all debating on like, oh, can't the Silurians and the humans like coexist together? But Restak is like starting to come around a bit, but like as soon as she sees Alea, she like starts crying, and it's a bit of a cringe-worthy moment, to be quite honest with you. Very, very cringe-worthy moment when she sees her sister lying dead on the floor, and it's just awkward, to say the least. And obviously after that, she loses it, and yeah, she wants to kill everyone. They all go on a run, and I must say Rory's done quite a bit in the story. I must say he has done quite a bit. He's tried to help out the humans, but as a result, the stupid woman killed Alea. So yeah, they're all running away. The scientist wants to stay with the grandfather because the only way he can survive the infection what he's got is by staying underground. So he stops there, and you can see all the way through they fancy each other. So they finally get together. Again, not really characters I really care for, to be quite honest with you. Don't really care for them whatsoever. Don't really care for any of them, actually, come to think of it. No, it's just one of those stories where it just feels like the supporting characters are absolute shit. That's how I feel. Yeah, I'm very controversial, I know. The Doctor, Amy and Rory are like escaping, and then Restak, I get confused because they look the same. Restak's like after them, and she's like dying because like there's all this poison all over and all that type of thing, and all the Silurians have gone back into hibernation for another 1,000 years because there could be no resolution for peace with the humans. And then we get episode 2 of Rory Dies. This week we have Silurian Restak shooting him, and he's about to die. He dies, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we find a crack. I could see what was going to happen here. The crack took Rory away from all of us. How dare you, crack! So, as established in Flesh and Stone, the crack can like take away people's memories, and before Rory gets killed by the crack, or by Restak, I don't know if you can hear, but there's a phone going on in the background. Just ignore it. But he gets killed, and he gets taken away by the crack, and then Amy forgets everything, as it's been established in Flesh and Stone that people can forget what the crack does, like after a crack takes away. It's like it was seen in Flesh and Stone with the cleric soldiers. So, was it a shocking moment when Rory supposedly died for good? I suppose in one sense it was, but in another sense it wasn't. It was probably the highlight of the story. Yeah, probably the highlight of the story, like I said, because not much happens in this story. Amy forgets everything. Before Rory gets killed, sorry, I got interrupted by the phone, so I forgot what I was going to say, but the Doctor puts his hand in the crack and he takes a piece of the TARDIS out, and as a result, it's a piece of the TARDIS. So it's a sort of foreshadowing of what's going to happen in the series finale, in Big Bang. All the humans are saved, and that's it, really. So I hope you enjoyed my review. I would happily give this story a 10 out of 10. No, I wouldn't really. I'm only kidding. I'm not that keen on this story. I'm going to give The Hungry Earth and Cold Bloods a respectable, and I say it's a respectable score, so don't have a go at me. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10 because it's just, it doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. And every time it's on the TV, if it's on Watch and it's a rerun, I just don't even feel bothered watching it. I'd rather watch episodes like The 11th Hour or Amy's Choice. So, there you have it. Probably the weakest two-part story of the new series to date. Yeah, probably is. Like, at that moment in time. Probably not the weakest ever, as there are weaker ones, as I'll go into. So yeah, 5 out of 10. Thank you very much for watching this review of The Hungry Earth and Cold Bloods. I know it's been some sort of rants, whatnot with the Silurians and all that, but I just really didn't see much happening with this story. The only highlight really was Rory getting killed. I know it sounds depressing, but hey, that's what I thought, really. So, join me again as I shall be reviewing Vincent and the Doctor, written by Richard Curtis.